these were some emails, some recent emails that I've received, and we're going to start. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it back over to Jeanette. So might be a bit of a lag, and I'm going to have her talk about some cultural differences.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, cultural differences. Gosh, we did kind of plan this out, but all of a sudden I don't know where to start. There's so many, and I would be very happy to eventually talk with a few people, and Jeff, as we mentioned earlier today, of perhaps putting together another webinar to talk about some of the differences, because there's these paradigms that go on between the two different countries, and just the mental attitudes are so different. Just for one example, of course it doesn't happen as much anymore, but years ago people would cut in front of me in line, and I know a lot of people, that used to happen to. And I think a lot of that stems from, people, there were still so many people alive that had lived through the war, that had to wait in line for bread, and that, when they got to the front of the line, there was no more bread. So there's reasons why the French are reacting and responding and living in a different mind frame than us Americans. So, like I say, and we can't even really get into all those cultural differences tonight. There are a lot, and to know what they are is to understand them better and to enjoy the experience of living here a lot more. So you definitely want to read and understand what those cultural differences are. And like I say, if we need to eventually do another webinar, I would be happy to put quite a bit of information together on that. And back over to you, Jeffrey. Can you hear me? Oh, I hope we haven't lost him.
No, it's okay. I'm back. Sorry about that. I muted myself. I'm still learning these. So anyway, there's a few. I noted a few cultural differences, and basically the thing that probably when I've noticed the most of a cultural difference between French and Americans is the meals. Americans eat a meal much quicker, and it's kind of you eat whenever. I've talked to some French people who are absolutely shocked that the Americans would eat a sandwich for lunch in 10 minutes. They would eat in front of the television. In France, you pretty much sit down at a table and you eat. And that was one of the things I kind of discovered myself, and it was just you kind of got to state, and the meal can take a while, and it's a little bit, you kind of feel like, every day is kind of that Sunday get together with your family type, and so that can kind of be a bit restraining. The other thing is that I've also noticed is that the French, they work to live. The work is important, but it's very different from, there's not a lot of mix. You go home, they do their hours, they work hard, they work efficiently, and then they go home, and it's a disconnect. Many people that I talk to they kind of don't socialize outside of work. There's one thing that always has bugged me about France, and that is the kissing, the cheek kissing. The French they don't hug. French don't hug. And they do the cheeks touch, and you kind of kiss the air, and I don't know why, but it's always kind of bugged me. Moving on, internet connection. I had somebody ask about this. France has a good internet connections. It's ADSL. You get a triple play. You get internet. You get telephone, and you get television for about 33 euros a month now. It was 29.99. It's gone up because some of the taxes got raised. So it's 33, 34. You can call America. You can call overseas. If you call a fixed line, it doesn't cost anything. It's essentially you call over the internet. It's a telephone, but it plugs into whatever your box is. There are free boxes, live boxes, Darty boxes. They're all called boxes of some sort. and you use it's basically your modem, and you can call any fixed number in France, in America, and I don't know, 100 countries. It doesn't cost anything, so it's a great. Um, it's high speed. That was kind of there are some areas of France that do not have it. Some rural areas will not have DSL. There are websites. In fact, my Americans in France, I have an area where you can type in a phone number and see if it's compatible, and you can get an idea. But most of the big cities, I think it's 70-80% is covered by ADSL, and pretty much everyone. I don't know anyone who has dial-up anymore. Everyone has ADSL. Comment allez-vous? This is an interesting one. Comment allez-vous to a shop owner? That's a cultural difference. Going back, that's a cultural difference because you don't ask a total stranger how they are. You just don't do that in France. It's a bit bizarre. Why would you ask somebody who you do not know how they are? You don't do that. You just say bonjour. That's just that's just the way it is. I did that one time. I got a very strange look. I said comment allez-vous, and it was a very strange look. So I learned that one rather quickly. Most economical options for healthcare. If you're living in France, the best thing is to get a job, and then you can get covered by the healthcare system. That's obviously the best way, because a lot of the tax burden for the healthcare is put on the employer and through taxes, and the employee it's very good. If you're gonna move, you're gonna have to get, part of the thing is you have to get health insurance. I list a couple companies on my website. It's like one of these things, you shop around and you find out the best. And I do know someone who told me that they got their long stay visa using travel insurance. Using travel insurance, it was catastrophic. So that can work, but it's not really that satisfies the option for visa, but it doesn't if you get something happens. And that kind of goes back to the next one here, short-term health insurance. That would be either one of the websites I have listed under my insurance section, or if you wanted to go the way of travel insurance,